Some games are built around the story they're trying to tell. Every mission pushes you forward, every scene is carefully placed, every moment is designed to lead somewhere. But Crimson Desert doesn't feel like that. As my playtime continues to grow in the game, I'm realizing that the longer I spend in it, the more I understand. It's not trying to tell a story. It's letting you find your own. You begin the game as Cliff, the leader of a group called the Greymanes. They're not heroes, not legends, just a tribe trying to survive in the war-torn continent called Pywell, where war feels less like an event and more like a constant state of existence. And almost immediately, that struggle catches up to them. The group is ambushed by the Black Bears, and in the aftermath, Cliff is killed, discarded into a river, and just like that, the game begins, and the real story starts. We hear the word immersion thrown around constantly. We hear Skyrim is immersive, The Witcher 3 is immersive, even Minecraft gets described that way. Completely different games, completely different worlds, yet somehow they all claim the same strength. For me, immersion has lived or died with the story. There has to be something pulling me forward, some momentum, some clear sense of purpose. Without that, the experience drifts. But not here. Not in Crimson Desert. 130 hours into Crimson Desert, I thought I had cleared out the northern part of the world. Cold air, snow-covered ground, patches of autumn trees breaking through. But it was time to move on. It felt complete. It felt like I had seen what this part of the world had to offer. So I decided to move on. But before I left, I started following a trail. No objective, no marker, no real reason behind it. Just curiosity. And somewhere along that path, the world changed. The snow started to disappear behind me. The air felt different. Then the fog rolled in. Not light fog, but thick, heavy layers that swallowed up everything in front of me. I could barely see where my horse was going. Shapes started forming in the distance, tall, distorted silhouettes of trees that didn't look quite right. And then it hit me. I wasn't in the same region anymore. And then I looked up, massive tree-like beings rising out of the fog, bridges and structures woven through them, entire pathways suspended above the ground like they were part of the forest itself. And within minutes, I wasn't just exploring anymore, I was fighting through it. Giant creatures moving through the fog, forcing me to react before I could even process what I was looking at. This wasn't something I was sent here to do. There was no quest leading me into it. It had happened because I just kept going. I had just reached the edge of it and turned back a bit too early, without realizing there was more waiting just beyond. And that's when something started to change. The story stopped feeling like the thing guiding you. Not because it disappears, but because it stops being the reason why I was playing. You're not following instructions anymore. You're living in Pywell. And that's what immersion should feel like. I'm currently in chapter 9, and I haven't touched the main story in weeks. I keep telling myself I'm gonna go back, that I'll pick it up again and push things forward. but every time I try, something else pulls me away. Not because the game tells me to, but because I see something that draws me in. Recently, I made my way into the desert, completely different from the north. Dry heat, dust in the air, endless sand stretching out in every direction, and somehow it feels just as dense as other regions. I ended up reaching the city of Tommaso. Crowded streets, markets packed with people, buildings made of clay and stone, worn down by time and heat. And instead of horses, people are riding massive venom-spitting lizards through the streets, like it's normal. The first thing that stands out is a giant statue towering over the city. Not decorative, not celebratory, it feels almost intimidating, oppressive. Like it's watching everything below it. This isn't just another area. This isn't a side region or a smaller extension of the map. This is something that could carry an entire game on its own. I used to think a game needed a strong, well-written story to feel immersive. Something carefully built, something structured, something designed to hold everything together. But Crimson Desert has made me question that. Because maybe immersion doesn't come from the story at all. Maybe it comes from the freedom to move through a world that doesn't feel like it revolves around you. And the ability to create something personal out of it. Not through dialogue, not through scripted moments, but through the choices you make from 1 minute to the next. About where you go. The boss fights don't feel like fights. They feel like moments you walk into without realizing you've already crossed a line. Walking through a freezing cold, snow-covered town with a merchant or two, a few hopeless crops, and some commotion in the distance. A mother and father's child has gone missing, abducted by the bandits. And they've taken the child to offer him up as a sacrifice to the mountain spirit. And they need your help. Mounting your horse, you travel up the path for what seems like forever. The temperature gets colder, the skies get darker, and you hear a screeching howl from the mountains above. Then you arrive. The White Horn of Snowhaven. What looks like an abomination mixed with a reindeer charges at you. Massively powerful strikes, one-shot kill body slams, and chaos. Scraping together just enough damage to beat him, phase after phase, then you realize there's a third phase. And you realize you're not alone in the fight anymore. A massive gorilla creature joins the fight and helps you kill the White Horn monster, tearing out its horns before disappearing. This world is filled with something like 76 bosses, which seems almost comically crazy. Some are giants that are too strong to face head to head, so you have to take down the weak points first. Some are annoying and feel like you're trying to fight a ghost. Then others, most players will probably never even find, buried deep in the mountains, where they would be lucky not to freeze just making it there. Others are slower bosses, almost deceptive in how they start. Like you're being drawn into something that only reveals what it is once you've already committed to it. But in every case, it never feels like you entered a designed encounter. It feels like you arrived somewhere unlucky enough to find this creature waiting for you. Sometimes there's just fighting and violence to the encounters. Other times there is a hidden story or message about them. Like this one I found high above the White Mountains. There was a kingdom built with a natural fort, surrounded by towering mountains. The prince, destined to inherit the millennial kingdom, met a woman one day and fell deeply in love. The prince married the woman, and a year later she became pregnant. However, what she bore was not a child but an egg. The prince could not accept that his own bloodline had produced an egg, and in the end, he shattered it. She wept bitterly and cursed the land. Great birds flocked to her side and laid waste to the kingdom. Since then, whenever signs of human presence appear, the great birds inevitably drive them away, and you have to battle her to the death. I found this random encounter on top of a mountain 120 hours into Crimson Desert. Not through progression, not through a main quest marker, just by being in the right place at the right time. The world is so large that it's easy to lose track of the main story entirely. But the bosses never feel like side content. They feel like one of the main threads holding steady throughout. At some point in Crimson Desert, it stops feeling like a linear game and starts feeling like something you're remembering. I'm still going through Crimson Desert, and I can't even remember specific quests or locations from earlier in the game in this playthrough. Instead, you keep moving, remembering special moments or feelings. It sounds corny, but the most memorable moments in this world are the encounters you have discovering something new, a boss, a town, or something else entirely. From place to place, moment to moment, without always knowing why you ended up there, or what you were even meaning to do there in the first place. Climbing the rocky mountain terrain, fighting mobs of moving scarecrows one after another. The day turned to night as you make your way up this mountain, trying to find out who is responsible for the massacre at the Glenbright Manor. You reach the top and go through this rocky path to find yourself in an open meadow, and the only light is the moon and your lantern you're holding. Then you find Reed Devil. That memory is burned into my mind from earlier in the game. I probably couldn't tell you half the quests and characters that I've done or talked to, but that memory feels permanent. You remember fragments, standing on a cliff, looking out over the land for something you didn't need to see, a fight that broke out in the middle of nowhere and completely derailed what you were doing. How about walking through a barren, scorched desert for hours and suddenly coming across a tropical jungle, just sitting there? Plants, waterfalls, animals. These moments feel impossible to forget. And the strange part is, none of these moments were ever introduced as important. And later, when you try to piece it all together, it doesn't come back as cleanly as you might remember. It feels like a blurred dream. Some things you forget or can't remember at all, and other things feel like they happened seconds ago, crystal clear in your memory. Not ordered, not explained, not even fully reliable in the way you remember it. Just moments you were inside of at a time you can't quite recreate the same way again. Maybe that's what Crimson Desert really leaves behind. Not a story you can neatly explain to someone else, not a list of quests or a clean beginning and end, but a collection of places you swear you remember being in, even if you can't always explain why they mattered. In moments like the bosses, the encounters that don't feel like optional content, but like parts of the world you were never really meant to separate from everything else. Because in the end, it doesn't feel like a game you finish. It feels like a world you pass through. And for a while, you were actually inside of it.